So we're going to check first with Watch D.C. Police Union Chair Greg Pemberton calls out rampant corruption and violence interruption programs. Let's see, quote, violence interruption in D.C. is a grift. It's a way for tax dollars to get funneled into the hands of criminals, and quote, real crimes deserve real consequences. Take a quick look, 38 seconds.
There's almost no evidence of any efficacy of these violence interrupters. And as a matter of fact, one of our city council members has been indicted for accepting bribes from a violence interruption organization. And I can name at least a half a dozen suspects who have been arrested for murder, gun charges, drug charges, other violence charges, who have been paid by violence interruption organizations. This violence interruption in the District of Columbia is a grift, and it is a way for tax dollars to get funneled into the hands of criminals. We shouldn't be spending a dime on violence interruption in the District of Columbia. There is absolutely zero proof that it works or that it has any level of efficacy whatsoever. The District of Columbia.
I'd be curious to know how much money they're actually putting into that. I'm sure it's got to be in probably the tens of millions, if not more than that. It'd fucking surprise me. Senate Judiciary Democrats this time. Senator Booker. Congress should be working together to keep Americans safer, but Republicans have chosen to play partisan politics instead. Yeah, okay. Accuse the other side for what you're already guilty of, right?
There are evidence-based strategies that will keep us safer. A hearing about blue states and red states.
Yeah, like cracking down on crime, asshole.
Is a fiction that is being driven in this country, that somehow we have this tribalistic fight that is causing our problems, and that's not it. In fact, that is the problem. That we in this country have not understood that we belong to each other, that we share common ground, that we have common values.
Then why do you keep calling the right-wing fucking Nazis? Why do you keep calling Republicans then the fucking Nazis and white supremacists and ultra MAGA Republicans and bullshit like that?
And there are strategies that we could be pursuing as opposed to fighting each other. The kind of partisanship that's toxic in this nation is what we saw in the president's first act.
Say it. Don't spray it.
To take criminals who beat police officers, criminals who beat them so savagely, people like Brian Sicknick died, and then to pardon those police officers for particularly partisan reasons. That's unjustifiable and something that should bring us all together.
Well, how come that they've got the zero cash bail in your city and in your state, and they've also got extreme soft on crime policies where they just let them out the back door after they commit heinous crimes, violent crimes? I mean, there's been stories of people committing attempted murder or even full-on murder I've heard of before, like second-degree murder, like they just let them out the next day, especially if they're illegal immigrants.
The pretext for this hearing is a farce. It's belied by the evidence. It's belied by common sense.
Wait a minute, it's a farce?
Doesn't get this committee back to the work
Democrats
that I've
asked
seen
for this
done
committee hearing.
In Congress after Congress,
actually,
despite
demanded
the president who's in the majority, we in this committee have done the work together to make our country safer. We are seeing crime going down, but that's little satisfaction to people
who
have seen their families victimized by crime. We have work to do, but this ain't it.
Yeah, we're seeing crime going down once the feds get involved these days. No, the reality is that when they opened the floodgates at the southern border and allowed in shitloads of criminal illegal immigrants that were released from prisons all across Latin America. They emptied out their prisons, sent them all up here, and that's why crime went way up in the last couple of years. So what the fuck that dude's talking about? Senator Ted Cruz, these are some of the faces behind the numbers. Edward Corestein, 19. Eric, I'm not really familiar, but Eric Tarpinian, Jacob, 21. Honesty Cheadle, 3. Sarah Lynn Milgram, 26. Yaron Lischinski, 30. And Mike Gill, 56. I'm not familiar with who he's talking about. I'm assuming that they're probably, some of the victims of, there you go, murders in Washington, D.C. So, yeah, these are probably recent victims of criminals, probably were murdered. But here, we'll hear from Ted Cruz.
And we need to understand these are not just numbers. Here are some of the faces behind those numbers.
Okay, yeah, here we go.
Edward Corestein, 19, brutally assaulted during a carjacking attempt in D.C. Eric Tarpinian Jakim, 21, a young congressional intern gunned down in the capital city. Honesty Cheadle, 3 years old, just a toddler, killed by stray gunfire. Sarah Lynn Milgram, 26, and Yaron Lischinski, 30, Israeli embassy staffers newly in love on the verge of engagement, brutally murdered.
Wow.
Mike Gill, 56, a husband, father of 3. Former Trump administration official shot in cold blood.
All right. Yeah, but crime is just like non-existent, Cory Booker says. From Josh Hawley, this former Biden staffer thought he could solve gun crime by defunding the police, which is hilarious. I hope I have that post. I came across a post earlier today where Democrats said that they are not for defunding the police, that they're pro-police. Now, they didn't say they're pro-police now. They're saying that we've always been pro-police. We've never stood with defunding the police. It's unfucking believable. It's like they expect the American people to have the memory of a goldfish. So let's see. And his consulting firm represented Soros-funded clients. Follow the money.
Mm-hmm. So let's talk about this report that you issued when you were executive director, a policymaker's playbook. And I'll ask to enter it into the record, Mr. Chairman.
And again, this happened this morning.
Without objection.
Thank you. In this report, you advocate, and I quote now, defunding the police because the long-term goal is fundamentally to reimagine how the state serves its citizens in the project of public safety. You go on.
Oh, dude, they could go through. Oh my God, dude, you can get thousands of fucking tweets, not only from Democrat politicians, but from people who work in blue cities, people who are police chiefs, the mayors, like all kinds of people. They were all in lockstep. Hashtag defund the police. Probably retweeted like tens of millions of times, especially back in 2020.
I say police departments traumatize residents through a destructive cycle of racist over-policing, and the answer is not to add any more money to police budgets,
but to take it away.
Talk to me about, why is it that denying policing to the most vulnerable communities is a solution? I know that's what the blue cities are doing, but why is that a good idea?
Well, look, I in no way stand with defunding law enforcement. I mean,
that's what your report says.
Sheriff
That's
Mike Sheridan, who taught me how to drive when I was 16 years old.
Wait. Your report, when you were executive director, said you wanted to defund the police. Do you renounce this report? Mr. Jackson, do you renounce the report that you authored as executive director? Here it is.
You're the second senator to bring up an op-ed or
this
documents
isn't an op-ed. This is your report, a policymaker's playbook to reduce gun violence without policing communities.
Okay.
Community Justice Action Fund, copyright 2023, when you were executive director. Now you say you don't know anything about it. Now you say that you haven't heard of it, just like the Democrats who all of a sudden say, oh, we're all for the police. They've been advocating defunding them for years.
Okay, well, you can look at documents.
Yeah, dude, they wanted to hire a bunch of fucking social workers, which means that they wanted to hire a bunch of people who couldn't find a job after they got out of left-wing college, and they were going to give them positions where we're going to replace the police with these people, with social workers. What do they call? They called them like a crime. Shit, man, I can't remember what the fuck they called it, but yeah, they wanted to hire a bunch of these idiots to go out and de-escalate certain situations, so that way they wouldn't have the need for the police anymore. It was absolutely ridiculous. It didn't go anywhere. I'm sure it backfired horrifically, but of course they don't want to talk numbers or anything about all that.
My question is, do you renounce this report now? You say you no longer agree with this.
And my answer is that I led the efforts to invest $42 billion in law enforcement.
You've advocated defunding the police as executive director of an organization that you
he's in the cult.
Lead and are affiliated with.
Never see me advocate for that directly. What you see me advocate for.
What is
Oh,
this
directly,
then?
huh? Only on paper, right? Oh my God. These people are so fucking slimy. And what's so funny is that this is all over, like, you know that they were all over the internet every single day. Hashtag defund the police. Hashtag Black Lives Matter. Hashtag defund the police. They were doing it every single day, and I'm sure he's no different than them. I bet his staff probably could have gone through his Twitter profile and probably would have been able to pull hundreds of tweets about that. It wouldn't surprise me. I mean, I'm not familiar with who that guy is, but all right. Anyway, Senate Judiciary Republicans. Senator Brent Taylor tells it like it is. Democrat policies are hollowing out Memphis middle class and harming impoverished communities. Let's take a listen to this.
Crime is so bad in Memphis that last year, Shelby County, the county that Memphis is in, experienced the largest decrease in population of any county in the entire country. And unless we do something, Memphis will hollow out its middle class, and all that will be left are the extremely poor who can't afford to leave and the extremely wealthy who can afford private security to stay. Crime is so...
Well, you know, and I'm sure that's happening not just in Memphis, but in quite a few cities, especially with... I know that remote work has gone up. Actually, it's gone up in 5 years, but I think it's kind of on the decline at this point. But there's a lot of young married couples, especially, who are moving out of large cities and moving into small towns. And for the first time in, what was it, like 30 or 40 years, with regard to young Americans, there's an uptick in young Americans moving into small town America, not out of small town America. So, and this is probably one of many reasons why. Anyway, Joint Economic Committee Republicans. Unemployment continued to exceed the number of job openings in August, with the gap now at 157,000. The ratio of unemployment to job openings, U/V, ticked up to 1.02. So here's the graph. And that's August of 2025. So it has crossed over. Unemployment's in the red, job openings in the dark blue. Maybe allow some more time to happen with regard to the tariffs and factories moving back in, manufacturing coming back. Not sure if it's going to be enough to really bolster employment. Not so sure. This actually doesn't surprise me at all. In fact, I'm honestly surprised that this didn't happen like 2-3 years ago, really. You know, like, of course, this happened during COVID, like throughout 2020 and into 2021. But I mean, like, unemployment completely bottomed out, man, like in 2022. So, yeah, I mean, it's just because of just spending, man. People don't have as much money. Look, it looks great in the stock market. The economy looks like it's roaring right now as far as that goes. But when you ask everyday people, dude, like, you know, inflation really fucked a lot of shit up, especially with rent going up so high. Mortgages are crazy expensive now. Insurance across the board is absolutely insane. Grocery prices went up over 30% since 2019. And people, they're tapped out on their credit cards. A lot of people have taken out home equity loans, so they're going to have to pay all that back. The average new car right now is almost $50,000. The average used car payment right now is $550 a month. It's absolutely crazy. So with regard to the middle class, I think you would be hard-pressed to find somebody in the middle class who would say that, oh my God, the economy is rocking and rolling. Everything's looking awesome right now. So anyway, the whole reason that I'm going over that, standing up on the soapbox, is because spending is probably going down and down because people are running out of money because everything's just so expensive. People got to tighten up their budgets. And when that happens, retail, travel industry, you know, there's other sectors where it takes a hit and they have to lay a lot of people off, especially big tech, man. Big tech, they've taken a big hit in the last couple of years. So, and they still continue. And hell, even Starbucks, just the other day, they announced that they're laying off hundreds of employees. And they're shutting down hundreds of locations. Hundreds of locations. All right. Anyway, Senator Katie Boyd Britt, looks like we're going back to the committee again. Let's be clear. Our crime crisis was created by blue cities pushing radical policies, including cashless bail, downgrading classifications of crimes, and undermining law enforcement. The crime in these cities today is the direct result of failed Democratic leadership.
Let's be clear. The problem that we're facing today was created by blue cities, was created by plans coming from the other side of the aisle, whether it's cashless bail policies, downgrading classifications of whole categories of crimes, undermining rights and protections afforded by law enforcement officers like we saw in D.C. in 2022, which Detective Pemberton, I want to talk to you about that, or creating systems to ensure that pretrial releases of even the most violent offenders, like what happened in Memphis, were done. So when we're looking at this, I take issue with what the ranking member had to say. He specifically pointed out Alabama. Truth be told, 8% of our population in Birmingham and Montgomery accounts for 40% of our crime. Both of those cities have been run by Democratic mayors, and in particular in Birmingham for the last 50 years. The mayor has been a Democrat. So we can't pick and choose here and pretend like that is a whole state problem. We're talking about specific areas, and we want to keep these people safe.
Oh, yeah, man. Truth be told, in red areas, you don't see crime anywhere near like you do in blue areas. It's night and day. Not saying crime doesn't exist. It's just a night and day when you look at the numbers, I'm sure.